I think it's really important for us to just do everything we can to take care of ourselves and notice the ways in which stress impacts us. And sometimes having, this is gentle yoga, this class, and sometimes having a little bit more of a gentle practice can be very helpful to kind of keep us just steady, right? And if we have little tweaks going on, like Christine, you just said, there's always ways that you can support yourself in your practice, even if you're struggling with movement in any way. So using props is one of our best ways to find this. So that's why I'm going to pull out the chair. I got my handy chair here. So we'll do a little bit of standing poses with a chair. And just try to modify. So, if even if you're like, oh, I don't want to use a chair, I want to do real standing poses. There is, to be clear, using a chair is not less work. It's actually more work in some ways. It takes pressure off some muscle groups and your knee joints, but your hips have to work a lot harder to access the standing poses on a chair. So one of the challenges, well, I'll get into it when we get there. I don't want to talk about your sacrum just yet because it won't make sense until we're actually in the posture. So let's go ahead and sit up straight and tall and take a moment to notice how the impact of life is on you today. Are you feeling energized? Are you feeling depleted? Are you fatigued? Are you fatigued in your mind or your body? Is there any pressing thing that's happening in your heart or in your mind? Let's just take stock, take notice, have a moment to acknowledge how you are instead of just plowing forth. Slow yourself down and drop in to the weight of your hips. Notice how your spine is feeling. And as always, come into the breath. See if you can start noticing the way the inhale and the exhale meet each other. Feel the expansion of your ribs and the release of your diaphragm. Melt into the back body a bit. And see what it feels like to rest your eyes, to be soft. If your eyes are kind of an extension of your brain, can you let the softness of your eyelids be like a balm? Let that energy, kind of the softness, send back from your eyes into your brain. And let yourself soften. Place your palms together at your heart and offer an intention. What's here? What do you need? All right, and then let's release the hands and come onto your back. All right, so lie down. All right, so stretch out on the floor and notice, when you become horizontal, some things change. Maybe your breath changes, maybe the way your diaphragm moves changes, maybe your joints spill out a little bit more. So just notice what's here. And then let's start to move. So stretch your arms up over your head and lengthen the right and lengthen the left and see what feels good. Feeling the reach, feeling the stretch, move your hips. Stretch one hip or one heel away and then stretch the other heel away. All right, and then draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a little rocking, a little steadiness across the sacrum. See if you can feel the SI joints, a little bit of a massage across the SI joints. All right, and then let's open and close the knees up a little bit. See what it feels like to have symmetry across your pelvis, or not. Maybe you have very different hips going on today. So just notice if one side's a little tighter or looser, or if you have pain or tenderness in one side, one hip, one knee, one SI joint. Just see where you're landing today. How are you? All right, and then stretch your left knee into the chest. Take the right leg long on the floor. Let's wake up the feet. So important to have woken up feet for when we get moving in our poses. So enjoy the feeling of rolling around your ankles, opening up the calves, the posterior compartment of your calf, all of your shin, and wiggle out your toes. When you're ready, switch sides, right knee into the chest. Feel the compression, feel the length of the spine, and feel the swivel of your ankles and feet. Okay, so roll around and see what's here. Maybe invert and evert your feet. Feel like you have eyes on the bottom of your feet that want to look around. All right, great. And then stretch that leg long on the floor. Arms and legs wide on the ground. Come into a starfish. Extend yourself open. And then exhale, draw your knees into your chest, chin in, head up. And let's go ahead and find some more. Expand open. Exhale, draw everything in. One last time. Feel this in your whole body. What is your spine feeling like? How about your breath? All right, and then put your head down and stay holding your knees. So this is a great thing to do if I know, Christine, you said your SI joint's a little wonky. So this is a great way to set the SI joint a little bit. Lots of things can help the SI joint, but here's one. So if you take your left hand on the top of your left knee and your right hand scooped under the bottom of your right knee, so, at the head of the shin, at the bottom of your femur, on those two oppositional sides, the knees stay hip width apart, so don't hug the knees into each other. Keep them hip width apart, and we're going to push our knees into our hands. So the right knee is going to try to push away from the body. The left knee is going to try to push toward the body, but nothing's going to actually move. Just stabilize as best as you can. Make sure you're breathing through this, and then relax and melt and switch. So right hand is on the bottom of your femur bone, atop your knee. Left hand is scooped under to the top of your shin, and repeat on this side. Just notice if one pattern feels familiar or if one pattern feels less familiar. What do you have a sense that we're flexing one side's hip flexor and one side's glute? Just notice. Let's go back to the first side. Make sure you're breathing. Push your knee into your hands. See if you can keep the knees from moving apart from each other. They're staying on line with each other. This is just an isometric contraction. Change sides one more time. Do the other way. So nothing's moving. Your body's breathing. Working some pressure into the hands. Knees into hands. Hands into knees. And then relax and bring your knees into your chest. And one more time, open out to the side and back in again. And as we open up, let's pause here for a moment. Flex your feet like frog pose. And, don't pull so hard where you're really trying to open up the knees super far. We're just trying to stretch the inner thighs. Don't overtax the SI joints. All right, and then relax and come back. Feet are hip width apart or even wider. And let's just gently rock from side to side. So allow this to be very free. We want a free sensation in our twisting instead of bind. So let the pelvis move with the knees. You don't have to feel like you have to keep anything on the floor. Let the shoulders move a little bit. Just feeling that rocking from side to side. All right, and then let's go ahead and roll over and come up onto all fours. So in order to stabilize your sacrum, one thing that's very helpful, so start doing some cat-cows while I explain this. Your psoas on one side and your glutes on the opposite side can hug. You create this sense of stability against the pelvis when you have oppositional forces coming onto the sacrum. And then at the same time, that's what we just did when we were lying down. And now we're going to get the back of the body, so the lats and the glute, to hug onto the sacrum from oppositional sides. So after a little bit of moving around, some swish and sways, finding some freedom in the body, we'll stabilize the sacrum in some bird dogs. So take your right knee back behind you, engage your glutes, feel the stability in your core as well. And then when you're ready, reach the left arm either out in front of you, out to the side, or even back. But you want to get the sense that the muscles along the left side of your spine and your left lats and your right glute are kind of finding each other, coming toward the sacrum, hugging onto the sacrum. Find your breath no matter what you're doing with the upper body, with your arms. Find your breath, stabilize through your core. See if you can feel that hugging onto the sacrum. All right, and then let's release. Place that hand and knee down onto the ground. And let's do the second side. So the left leg lifts. Feel the engagement of your glutes. Feel the engagement of your core. Try to hug on to the pelvis a little bit. And then take the arm out and feel that cross line from your right shoulder to your left hip. See if you can find that cross line crossing over the sacrum to stabilize it. Marry that to the core. Feel your breath coming. All right, and then release and relax. Put your knees where you want them to be and come back towards child's pose. Hips toward the heels. Relax your forehead toward the floor. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Come back up onto all fours. And let's do some pelvic circles here. So imagine you have a paintbrush on your tailbone. You've all done this with me before. And just draw some huge circles on the wall behind you. So sometimes when our pelvis is a little snug up and we kind of tweak our SI joints, either destabilizing it or smushing it, finding some freedom in the ligaments in the low back can be very helpful to keep us flowing and moving well through our pelvis. Go the other direction. Deep breaths, both in and out. All right, one round of the cat-cow, arching the back and rounding the spine. Okay, and then stretch back towards child's pose. Take your hands, walk them out in front of you, and then find your hands walking over to the left side of your mat, opening up the right rib cage, feeling that sense of space and breath. Everything that you're doing, you're breathing for it. All right, and then come back to center and find your way over to the other side. Relax your head, soften the breath. All right, and then come back to center. Okay. Come back up onto all fours. I'll show you this from the side just so you can see what my feet are doing. So we're going to lift our feet off the floor. And if you need to put a blanket on your knees, go for it. So that because we're going to be on our knees. And we're just going to swish from side to side. Now, if it doesn't feel comfortable to have all your weight on your knees, keep your feet down and just swish your torso from side to side. Okay. So you're just, when you swish your feet left, turn your head left. When you swish your feet right, turn your head right. You can go slow or fast. Just opening up some of the tension in those ligaments in our low back, as well as opening up the QL, the quadratus lumborum. All right, one more round of the cat-cow, and then I promise we're going to get off your knees. Here I said we were going to do, some gentle stuff for the knees today. Now I have you on your knees a whole bunch. All right, so let's go ahead and find your way up. Okay, find your way up into dog pose, extending through the hands, the feet. Feel where you're touching the earth. Yield into the earth and rebound out from there. Relax your head, finding your breath. What does it feel like to melt a little bit? To feel that sense of deep surrender in the body? Can your eyes rest? Can your head rest? All right, and then let's walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Fold a bit, relax your head. Feel free to move around. You can rock around in your hips or your shoulders or your head. Inhale for a halfway lift, getting the hamstrings open. Exhale and melt back down. Let's rise up. Come on up to stand, reaching the arms to the sky. Take a deep breath in, open up your chest, spread out your wings. And then exhale and release the arms down. Interlace your hands behind your back. Open up across your chest. Bend your knees and reach your arms over your head. Relax or away from your back, wherever they go. Relax your neck. Soften your elbows. And then release your arms down. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt to find a sense of softness. Step your left foot back. Your right foot is forward. Come to a lunge here. Blocks are so nice. Let's start moving, swaying with the breath, squaring the hips, dropping your chin toward your chest as you straighten your leg. How is your breath moving with your postures? Are you going slow? Are you moving fast? What is the pace that's right for you today? There's no rights or wrongs in our practice. We're only just befriending the body, staying present, finding the breath. And then walk your back foot forward, fold again. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Another way to kind of stabilize the hips a little bit, hug your feet apart from each other on the floor here. So another isometric, let your knees bend just a little bit. Feel the feet pull apart like you're trying to rip the mat. Just notice the outer hip muscles. See what's alive and well. And then relax and melt that back out. Let's go ahead and step your right foot back. Your left foot is going to be forward, come into a lunge on this side. Start moving again, squaring the hips the whole way. You're straightening and bending the front knee. As you straighten the knee, tuck your chin toward your chest. As you bend your knee, lift your heart forward. Just allowing some juice to get into the hamstrings a little bit. Lubricate your knee joints as that front knee bends and straightens. How's your spine feeling when you come into a straight leg? Can you tuck the chin and get that full back line stretch? All right, and then let's go ahead and climb backward now. So 2 hands on the ground, step your front foot back and come to dog pose again. Once you get settled here, isometrically drag your feet apart again. So feel that sense of trying to drag the mat apart or split the mat apart. You should feel some strength in your outer hip muscles activating. So notice if your 2 sides are even. All right, and then come forward into a plank, and you can always put your knees down if your shoulder's unhappy in a plank or for whatever reason, maybe your wrists. If your wrists are bothering you, you can always come onto blocks onto your forearms for this posture. All right, so find your strength, deep breath in, deep breath out, and then eventually we're going to find our way onto the floor. Roll your shoulders a few times, taking some deep breaths, and roll them the other way. All right, inhale, cobra pose. Very gentle. It doesn't have to be this big, huge thing. Exhale and come back down. One more time. Coming on up. Coming on down. So here's another good one for your sacrum. Put your hands underneath your forehead. Curl your toes under. Separate your legs wide apart. We're going to do this 2 different ways. Take a deep breath in and lift your legs up. Toes are pointing toward the floor. They don't have to flex. They can. But you want your kneecaps and the tops of your feet facing the floor. So a little internal rotation. Feel the hugging of those muscles. Feel it stabilize the pelvis. And then relax. Melt that down. Pick up your feet and windshield wiper your knees left and right. As always, anytime we move into a back bending kind of posture, we want to make sure that our core is stable, supporting us. So as we do this, repeat this again, we're going to do it slightly differently. So curl your toes under, lift up your thighs, and externally rotate your legs a little bit. So the knees are slightly turned out, not huge, just a little bit. Take a deep breath in and lift up now. Stabilize with your core. Stay in your breath. Feel the muscles hug onto the sacrum. All right, let's go ahead and relax. Pick up your feet and windshield wiper your knees again. All And let's come up onto all fours. Take your time, swirl around, you do a cat-cow, anything that feels good. And then feel free to drop back towards child's pose if it's comfortable for your back. That might be too deep of a compression for your thighs or for your hips or for your back right now. So you just do you. And then eventually find your way back to dog pose. One more time. This time we're going to do two different things. So we're going to isometrically drag our feet apart and isometrically drag our hands toward each other. So feet away from each other, hands toward each other. Take a deep breath here and then let some of that go and just find the extension of the pose. Relax your head, breathe and soften. All right, let's walk our feet forward. Come into Uttanasana, relax one more time. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet, rise up, coming up to stand. Stand in Tadasana for a moment. Just enjoy this posture. Close your eyes and feel the yielding of your lower extremities, your feet yielding in to the earth. All right, now let's go ahead and grab our chair. Okay. So I know it's a little wonky doing chair poses, but you know, sometimes it's fun. Let's think it's fun. Okay, so if your chair is low or hard, you can always put a blanket on top of it if you want. Okay, we're gonna start with our right leg forward. So you want the chair here, I'll switch it so that I'm mirroring you. You want the chair on the left side of you. I'm sorry. I had that incorrectly. I was doing it right before. So our right leg's gonna come forward. Our left leg is gonna come back. Sorry. I get my lefts and rights confused sometimes. All right, so we're coming into crescent lunge with our thigh resting on the chair. So if you're super short, you can put a block underneath your foot. And if you're super tall, you can put blankets underneath your thigh. So you find the place where you are correctly placed. The back knee can bend, so you can soften that back knee or you can stretch it a lot. So find your way into whatever position is comfortable for you, and then find the extension of your body. So what I feel differently in this pose with the chair is I'm getting a whole lot more stretch across my hip flexors on my back leg than I do when I do it without the chair. Maybe it's different for you. So just find what you're finding, root your feet into the earth so we're not totally laying on the chair. There's a little bit of support of the earth, and find the pose wherever you want to be. Open yourself up, extend, breathe, relax the shoulders. Try not to be hugged up toward your ears. Okay. And then relax and melt. Turn toward the front of the chair, put your knees together for a moment, fold forward, and then we're just going to turn right around to the other side and stretch in the other way. So when you do this, now I have my back to you, so that's no fun. When you do this, go ahead and find the right placement for your body. Okay, so where do you want your legs to be? Do you need support underneath your thigh or underneath your feet? Find your breath. How do you want your arms to land? You can put your hand on the chair. If you want, you can have your arms up in the air. So whatever is feeling nice for you. There's so many different ways to do this. As you extend that back leg, be really mindful to not overextend the low back. Lift the pubic bone toward the belly button. Find the stability of your core. All right, and then come back around. Again, bring your feet, knees together, and round in a little bit. Find your breath. Relax your spine. And then come on up. Stand up again. This time we're going to turn the chair to the long edge of the mat. Okay. I think most of you have done this with me before. I'm just the right size for this chair, so I usually don't need a blanket or a block, but you once again can make your pelvis higher by stacking up blankets, or make your feet higher by putting a block underneath your feet. Now, especially if you have some SI joint tweakiness going on. You want to be really mindful when we come into warrior two here that you're not overdoing the extension of the back leg. So let the pelvis turn as much as you need it to turn toward the front knee so that your SI joint is in a happy place. So the more we try to open up and press that thigh bone back and turn, this puts a lot of pressure on our SI joint. So having a little bit of turn of the pelvis toward the front knee can take some of that pressure off. So you go into wherever your place is right for you. Feel the feet root. Be mindful to not hyperextend anywhere. And then find your arms. Now, if you're nursing a shoulder, then you can take that arm down and not have it up. You can try flipping your palms. You can platter your arms. You can cactus your arms. There's so many things to do. Whatever you're doing, find the breath. Root your feet into the earth. Find the floor, so we're not just sitting on our thigh on the bench. All right, and then go ahead and relax and come back to center. Okay. Find the front edge of the chair, so scooch to the front of the edge of the chair and just find an erect spine for a moment. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. And then we're going to switch sides. Now, one of the ways to help you line this up is you want your front heel, your knee, and your sit bone to all be on one plane. So find that line, and then the back hip just does whatever it can do. So you can, once you stabilize with that front line, you can turn the hip toward the front knee. You can pull the hip away to open up more, into external rotation. See what's happening. Okay, so where do you want to be? Where is best for your pelvis to land? Where you feel, so check in with the SI joints in the back of your pelvis and make sure there's no compression. Feel your feet being able to root into the earth. Once you're settled into where you want to be, find the work of the hips in this pose. The jar lid that we sometimes spin with our foot, spin that with your front foot. So the left toes turn out left, the left heel turns right. Nothing's moving, it's all isometrics. But let this fire up some underbelly muscles in your hip. Discover your breath. Notice that you can do a lot of work in this pose with your muscular strength without taxing your front knee joint. So if you're having trouble with your knee, this is a great way to do some standing poses instead of just skipping them out of your practice. All right, let's go ahead and relax. Come back to center. Bring your legs together one more time. Decide whether you want to lean forward and lean over your legs and stretch your back, or whether you'd rather be upright with a strong, straight spine. Take a deep breath in. Let that breath go. Okay. And we're going to come to Parsvakonasana on the first side. So going right again, line up the heel, the knee, and the sit bone. So the more on the front side of the chair you are, the better. And if you have a lot of trouble, don't forget, you can not only turn your hip a little bit toward your front knee, but you can also walk your back foot forward toward, in front of you a little bit more if you are struggling with being able to have that alignment of the back leg. Stabilize through your legs, use the jar lid of that front foot, and then when you're ready, place your elbow down on your knee and stretch your arm overhead. Maybe your arm is somewhere else, depending on what your body needs. Slide the shoulder blades away from the ears. Find the deep breath. So feel your feet. So we're not just laying down on the chair. We're still active in the pose. Let the back hip turn to whatever place is comfortable. And then once you have that, take the thigh bone back. Internally rotate the thigh a little bit and take the thigh bone back. All right. Go ahead and come on back up. One more time, back to center. Kind of neutralize the pelvis. Be very mindful that you're not doing too much or you want to stay in a really good range of motion for your pelvis. All right, let's go ahead and take the second side. Line up the front heel, the knee, and the sit bone. The back leg can move forward. The back hip can turn in. Find just the right spot. So really check in with your sacroiliac joints in the back of your sacrum and just notice, is there anything tugging? Is there anything pulling or compressing? Is there space? Can I bring my breath there? And once you find exactly where your legs need to be to find that, then you can come into the posture. Bring your elbow onto your knee, stretch your arm overhead, and find your pose. Root the feet, work the hips, drop the shoulders away from the ears. Finding breath after breath after breath. Soft traps, soft base of the skull. Root the feet. All right, now let's go ahead and come back. One more time, bring your legs together and lean forward if it feels good. Just feel the back of the pelvis, feel symmetry, come home again, kind of curl in from the deep extension. And then come on up, okay? One last leg wide open pose. We're going to take our legs wide like a wide squat. Turn your toes out, open up your knees, find your breath, and you get to decide where you're gonna go. So your forward might be just right here. Your forward might be much more forward and down. So find what's working for you. You can keep your hands on your knees. You can put your elbows on your knees. You can hold anywhere you want, okay? Find the length of the spine, the openness of the hips. Two jar lids spinning open, so toes are turning out, heels are moving in. Find the breath. And then climb up. Hold yourself steady here with an upright spine now. And maybe your arms come up and maybe your arms come out, or maybe your hands are to your heart. But find goddess pose without any of the weight bearing on your knee joints. How do you feel in your spine and in your hips? Once again, trying not to compress the sacroiliac joints, just find some ease, breath across your sacrum, deep work in the hip joints. All right, and then bring your legs back together and fall forward again. Relax your head, find your breath, see what it feels like to soften the body, soften the spine. All right, and then come on up and stand. Come to the back of your chair and take dog pose with your hands on the chair. Now, if the chair top is too high, then you can come and put your hands on the bottom edge of your chair. So just find whatever variation of a nice long extension is working for you. And then we're going to move into some rolling planks here. So roll the spine up and lean into the chair if it's safe. Okay, open the chest and then roll back. You don't have to do a whole lot of weight bearing on the chair. You're just moving through your spine, opening the breath. If your chair is on your sticky mat, that is a little safer. Then let's go ahead and relax. Put the chair off to the side. We're going to use it in a moment, so have it close. Okay, and then find your way back to dog pose. So full, real, complete dog pose now. Extend through the spine here. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Let's turn the toes in now. So internally rotate the legs a little bit. And then come forward into a plank. Straighten out your feet. Engage through your core, find the strength. Where is it living in your body? And then knees down and come all the way to the floor. So take a back bend of your choice. If you're trying to stabilize the sacrum, you can kind of do locust pose. That might be a really nice one with your legs wide. And then exhale and relax and come back down. Pick up the feet and windshield wiper your knees left and right. Okay, let's go ahead and flip over onto your back. Okay. Bring your knees to your chest for a moment. We're going to take the block. Either you have a choice whether you want to do bridge pose actively or passively. So you can stick a block between your thighs if you want, or you can stick a block underneath your pelvis if you want to do this more passively. So the block can be, if you're using a block under your pelvis, the block can be low or middle height and have it across your sacrum instead of in line with your sacrum. Find your breath. If you're using a block between your thighs, engage your glutes. Whatever you're doing, open your breath up. Feel the roots of your feet. Feel your shoulders soften. The neck is not pushing down into the earth. There's a little gap under there. Finding the breath. All right, and then let's go ahead and come back down. Pause here for a moment. Take a deep breath in, a deep breath away. Have your feet a little wider than your hips and windshield wiper your knees again like we did in the beginning of class. How's your breath? All right, let's go ahead and roll over onto your side and come on up. We're going to come back onto the chair, so come up to stand. Grab your chair, and we're going to first sit sideways. So I'll turn it this way so I can still face you. So you're going to turn to the right of the chair. So the back of the chair is on your right side. Okay. Feet are planted on the floor. Lift your hips, or lift your spine rather, and feel a sense of neutrality in your lumbar spine. So we're not rounding back and we're not over pushing forward. A nice neutral spine. Christine, be very careful with this, okay? Hands on the chair, and we're gonna have a gentle twist here. So a little bit of a push with the left hand, a little bit of pull with the right. And as always, we want to avoid having our bones, our muscle strength from our arms do the work of our spine. So these are guides. The push-pull of your hands are a guide. But really the breath is taking you deeper into the twist and the obliques are taking you deeper into the twist. Maintain your neutral low back curve. See if you'd rather allow your knees to come offline or whether it feels safer and better for you to keep your knees online. All right, and then let's go ahead and release and come out of the pose. Let's turn the other way. So now we're just spinning our body so that the chair now is off on the other side. Feet are hip width apart. Take your hands into the push-pull very gently. So we're not overdoing the posture. Finding the breath. Drop the shoulders down. A little arch in the low back. I think I screwed up the left and rights before. So if the chair is now on your left side, you want to pull with your right and push with your left hand. If the chair is on your right side, you want to pull with the left and push with the right. So this is very gentle. The breath takes you into the pose. How do your hips feel? Do you want to let them turn with you? Do you want to anchor your knees in line? All right, let's go ahead and come back out of there. Okay. Now we're going to face forward on the chair. Okay. And we're going to come to the front edge of the chair, and we're going to come into a reverse pigeon pose, a figure four pose, but sitting on the chair. So be on the front edge, put your left foot over top your right knee, find the spine, lift up through your chest, a nice neutral lumbar spine, and start to come forward wherever you go forward. So once again, if you're dealing with some SI joints, be very gentle. You can stretch your hip without overdoing. So just find the sweet spot where you feel like the muscles are opening, but you're not taxing anything in your SI joint. Extend the breath. Extend the exhales. Relax the upper body. come back to center, 2 feet onto the floor. Find a good posture, an upright spine. Deep breaths, long exhale. Okay, let's come to the second side. So finding that sense of putting the right foot on the left knee. Lift your heart, extending upward through your spine. Take a deep breath, and you decide, perhaps leaning back on the chair is better for your hip, perhaps leaning forward, perhaps being very neutral. So wherever your hip stretch needs to go, you find it. Don't overdo and also don't underdo. Find your Goldilocks place in your body. Can you relax the upper body? Can you breathe well? Are your joints feeling supported? All right, great. And then go ahead and put your foot down onto the ground. One more time, let's round the back a little bit. Tuck your chin toward your chest. We're going to come on up and stretch your feet. So legs are straight without hyperextending. Open up the bottom of your feet, hands on the edge of the chair, lift your spine, and start to come forward just a bit. So this is a pretty big stretch for the back of the legs. Anterior tilt the pelvis. Stretch all the way to the bottom of the feet. Okay, great. And then go ahead and come on out of the pose. Stand up. Okay. Last thing we're going to do with the chair before Shavasana is to hold on so that we have some good balance, and we're just going to stretch our thigh. Okay, so if you want to try this without balancing on the chair, that's fine too. Feel the knee reach down toward the floor. Lift the spine up. Deep breaths in and away. All right, and then go ahead and relax and come to the second side. Grab onto your foot. Try not to let your knee or hip splay out. Okay, you can use the chair for a little bit of balance. You can take your hand off the chair. You can have the chair close where, if you feel like you need it, it's there for you. Soften the knee that you're standing on. Reach the knee that is in the air down toward the floor. All right, and then relax your leg. Come to sit on the chair, and we're just going to do some cat-cows here. So round the spine back and arch the spine forward. Round the spine back and arch the spine forward. All right, let's go ahead and come down onto the floor now. Actually, you might be more comfortable sitting in the chair. We're going to do a little breath work so you can decide whether you want to be sitting on a blanket on the floor cross-legged, or perhaps you'd rather stay sitting on the chair. And you can come to the front of the chair or to the back of the, I have no idea what kind of chair you guys are using. So find your posture. We're going to do a little bit of alternate nostril breathing. So decide where you're comfortable. You can stand up. You can sit down on a chair, you can sit down on the floor. I would not recommend lying down for this variation of pranayama. So first and foremost, we're just going to find the spine, find the open chest, stretch open the heart. Take some deep breaths in and away. And then as we're ready, we're going to take our right hand onto our nose. So hold the right thumb on your right nostril, the left ring finger on your left nostril. Some people feel more comfortable with their middle finger, but the ring finger is the traditional way of doing this. Nadi Shoshana. So we're going to inhale, close off the right nostril, inhale through the left. Close off the left and breathe out through the right. So as you transition, so we're breathing out and then back in through the same nostril, and then closing off that nostril, switching sides. So it's an out breath and an in breath, and then switch sides. Out, in, switch. Out, in, switch. So because we are closing off one side, obviously this is a lot of brain balance work. See if you can feel the breath kind of swirl up in your head a little bit. Are you noticing the sense that if you're congested on one side and this isn't working for you, that's okay. You can make a different choice and just breathe. But can you notice whether one nostril is a little tighter than another? This is very normal. Our brain, because we kind of shift from left to right hemispheres throughout the day, we often have times of the day where one side is more open than the other. Can you feel that because there's less channel for breath to move through, do you feel the toning on your diaphragm? How is the impact of this on your lungs? What does it feel? How does it feel different from regular breathing to you? Try not to pull the head off to the right. See if you can keep in the midline. Relax your face, your eyes. You can tuck your chin just a little bit. You can lift your chest just a little bit. All right. Don't finish until you come out through the left nostril. And pause for a moment. Just pay attention. How does it feel to breathe through both sides of your nose? All right. We're going to set up for Supta Baddha Konasana. Or if you feel like doing leg up the wall pose or some other variation of a restorative posture, by all means, I'm going to show it with the bolster. So I sometimes do it this way where I have a block underneath the bolster for my head. Sometimes you can use two blocks. So you can have one at the middle height, one at the low height, fairly close to each other. And then the bolster comes on top. If you have no bolsters, you can use couch pillows. You don't have to use anything. You can be flat on the floor. You can either put a block underneath each knee, or you can open up your blanket like a snake. So like this. So depending on the props you have at home, you could be lying flat on your back. Maybe I've done this with my couch pillow too. But make a nice long roll with your blanket and take the soles of the feet together. The blanket goes over the top of the feet and then tucks underneath the outer hips. So you have the sense of being very supported under the back and supported underneath the pelvis. So take as much propping as your body needs. Sometimes I put blankets underneath my arms too. If you're cold, put a blanket over top of you. Okay. Find your breath. Just take a moment to let yourself relax. This is such a beautiful pose to gift yourself with. So be here now. Feel the breath moving easily through both nostrils. Relax your shoulders, melt the spine. Feel the support underneath your legs so that you can relax your legs. Staying with your breath over and over. Adjust anything that needs adjusting. So after being here for a minute or two, do you notice anything feeling like it needs more support, different support? All right, let's find the transition to Shavasana. You can, if you're on a bolster, maybe come off your bolster. You can bring your knees to your chest, give yourself a hug, rock around, any kind of movement you need to release from that pose. And then if you want for Shavasana to put your legs up on your chair, you can put your calves up on your chair if you want. If you happen to be lucky enough to have a sandbag in your house, you can put that across your pelvis, your low pelvis, with your calves up on a chair. It's very soothing. So you can ignore me and do any kind of Shavasana that you need or want. You can take any pose before Shavasana if your body just needs one more thing. You do you. Trust yourself. And as you find, however you're positioning yourself, as you find yourself come into Shavasana, take advantage of your practice. Let it feed you. So use Shavasana as a time of integration, of absorbing your practice, of being able to be present with the deep art of resting. Stay with the breath. Enjoy noticing all the little aspects of your breathing, what it feels like to breathe in and out. Is there any place you can melt your body a little bit more? Let's begin to deepen our breathing. Inhaling and exhaling. And find your way. Let yourself come into a little ball on your side eventually. So take your time, stretch and engage your body however is best for you. And if you can, go onto your side first before you come up. Let your head kind of drape its way up. Keep that sense of surrender and ease. Let's go ahead and place your palms together at your heart. Offer your ease, offer your practice, share your energy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. So good to see you all.